One reaction with Levy, and last night we had the national championship. Alabama, Ohio State, and Alabama blew Ohio State out of the building 52-24. By the way, that was the same score between Alabama and Texas A&M. We'll get to that later, but this pandemic has highlighted, just like a lot of other things, that the great continued to excel and the mediocre just fall off a little bit. And Bama, they were ready for this year. I heard Paul Feinbaum talking about it on Get Up today. They talked about how Nick Saban, he was locked in for March when the whole world was shut down. He was locked in and ready. Apple Watches for all of his players. I mean, they dealt with all these distractions. They won all the awards. Their offensive coordinator took a job at Texas right before the national championship. Devontae Smith won the Heisman. I mean, they didn't even have Jalen Waddle. They lost their center, Dickerson. They just stayed together as a team, and I think this is one of the most impressive victories for Nick Saban. His 7th national championship. It could go down as his most special, the way he brought this team back, and it was just a great moment to see these players. They work so hard, getting tested every day. What a moment. And now for the game, I thought what really impacted this game a lot, that's why it was such a big blowout. No Tyreek Smith in the middle for Ohio State. That really affected their game plan because they couldn't stop the run, and that allowed Alabama to be balanced and couldn't put pressure on Mac Jones. That was a key. And I also thought losing Trey Sermon on the first play was key. Yes, Master Teague filled in nicely in the first half, but he just didn't have the shiftiness that Trey Sermon provides. That was big as well. And it didn't feel like Justin Fields was 100%. And also props for Patrick Surtain. He's going to be a top 10 pick the way he shut down Chris Olave on the outside. That was very impressive. Other trends we learned from last night, I feel like it's the same teams every year in this college football season. You saw LSU last year, but it's really been Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and I think going down the road, the question is there going to be 8 teams? Is it going to be whatever? I think they're going to expand. You saw the NFL do it this year. Yes, the games were a little worse, but you make more money. There's more to talk about. It's more fun. I expect college football within the next couple of years to expand to 8. Next, in terms of what are we going to see, guys like Devontae Smith, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, 3 of the biggest stars in the game, profit off their image. That's something else to see. Also in college basketball, you'll start to see that with like a guy like Cade Cunningham or Jalen Suggs. When do they start profiting? Bunch of QBs right now. That second pick, the New York Jets. A lot of people are talking about Devontae Smith at the second pick. I don't know if you can pick a wide receiver that high, but you saw Fields, he could be too inconsistent, or that could be a potential for him to grow. It's all about what the Jets see. If they believe in Darnold over Fields, then you say maybe we trade back and then get a stud wide receiver at 7. Maybe you make a deal with a team at number 7. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, or you take Zach Wilson there. It's going to be about what this team evaluates. We don't know. We don't know which quarterbacks stick. You see in past drafts, everyone was like Josh Allen's the bust out of this crew. He was actually the stud. So no one knows Herbert. A lot of questions about him. A lot of draft guys like Connor Rogers, or those guys were like, I'm off of Justin Herbert. Well, he's pretty good. So let's calm down. We don't know what's going to happen with these quarterbacks. It's going to be very interesting. I just saw a mock draft on The Athletic. 4 QBs in the top 10. A lot of good prospects coming out of this draft. Also, another problem I have with college football, every game is a blowout. You talk about the big games this year. Alabama, Notre Dame, blowout. Notre Dame, Clemson, the second time, blowout. Clemson, Ohio State, blowout. And Alabama, Georgia, blowout. And also this game, Alabama, Ohio State, blowout. There's got to be something where they can fix it. These games might be a little too long. We got to start adjusting what we see on the college football stage. These games could last 4 hours. Maybe you cut down stopping the clock after a first down. We'll see what college football does, but I think that's an issue for the NCAA to discuss. Also, I wanted to touch back on this. The Alabama A&M score was 52-24. This score was 52-24, and a lot of A&M fans, you saw Stuart Mandel tweet this. Is there an argument for A&M to be like, we were robbed? I don't know. I thought the injuries really affected this game with the QB, running back, and defensive line. I still think it's very interesting this year with A&M getting all the love they had and not getting in, and Notre Dame getting in. They played the closest out of A&M, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. Notre Dame played the closest, and A&M is like, why don't we get a shot? They played Alabama in like the second game of the year. So a lot of interesting stuff to unpack there for the committee. Just an interesting question to be like, maybe it was just Alabama was just better than everyone else this year, and I think that's what happened, similar to LSU last year. Top recruiting classes for next year. Maybe you hope for some changes in the college football landscape. Number 1, Alabama, and guess who's number 2? Ohio State. Not good. Not good. There's going to be a lot of similarities. Georgia, I think, is a team that coming on. They've had bunch of good recruiting classes. They were number 1 in 2020. Joel Klatt has them as their has Georgia as his number 1 team in the country. I think Oklahoma is another team that can make a jump next year. So Georgia, Oklahoma, Alabama, of course, will be there. How does Clemson rebound without Trevor Lawrence? How does Ohio State rebound without Justin Fields? Going to be a lot of interesting things to watch next year in the college football world. How does Michigan adjust with Jim Harbaugh? Because seeing Ohio State get there, there's obviously Big Ten. This is big for them. You get a team to the national championship. Now it's time to win off that. So it's time for Jim Harbaugh to really build this Michigan program. He got the extension. Can he do something with it? So college football is over. Alabama, Ohio State. Alabama wins.